Hi everyone, hope you're all good. Welcome back to Wanderer's Footsteps. So, as I promised last week, this time I will be talking about my personal experiences during my solo trips. So, in last week's video, I talked more in general about the reasons why I encourage people to try solo traveling at least once in their lives. And today I will be talking about personal things that happened with me during my solo trips. So, let's begin. First stop is Portugal, and more precisely Lisbon. I went there around 10 years ago. It was back in 2011 or 2010 or 2011. It was the very first time I go on a solo trip, and I spent there like 4 or 5 days. I can tell you that was one of the most amazing and beautiful trips I have ever taken. So, first thing I would like to talk about is what I like to call the Lisbon Artist. So, in Lisbon, there's this big street. If I remember right, the street is called Ria Augusta. And it's like a big pedestrian street where there are lots of people, lots of shops, and lots of restaurants. So, I used to go there to walk for like an hour just to get to know the city better. And during my last day, I think it was a Thursday, I had to take a plane at around 8 p.m. to go back to France. So, I decided to go for a last walk in the street at around 2 p.m. And while walking there, I noticed a girl who was sitting in the middle of the street with a big paper in front of her, and she was painting a drawing. So actually it really intrigued me, and the drawing was really interesting. So what happened is that I stood next to her for like 30 minutes just looking at her drawing. And then after 30 minutes, I sat on the floor next to her and I asked her how much time does she still need to finish it completely. And she told me like she needed 1 more hour. She asked me if I would like to buy it. And here I thought that this painting could be one of the best or the best souvenir I get from Lisbon. So I told her I'm going to buy it from her and that I'll be back an hour later to when she finishes. And that's what happened. I went to have lunch and then I came back. I guess it was around 3:30 p.m. The painting was already finished. It's like an abstract painting. I really liked it. I bought it from her and I can tell you until now it's like the best souvenir I have from Lisbon. And this is one of the most amazing things about solo traveling is that you get to manage your own timing. Like I stood next to her for 30 minutes just looking at her drawing. If I had some people with me, perhaps I would have friends telling me, let's go, I'm bored, or let's change plans or something. But here I did whatever made me happy. I was happy just looking at her. And this is one of the best things that solo traveling can offer you. So this is the story about the Lisbon Artist. By the way, I'm not sure if she's still there in this street. It was 10 years ago. She told me her name was Sarah. I'm not sure if it's her real name. Anyway, she signed Sarah. So that's the last thing I know about her. Second thing I would like to talk to you about also happened in Lisbon. As you now know, I was all by myself there. So this is why I decided to book a guided tour from the hotel in order to go discover like nearby areas and regions next to the city. So in the morning, a bus came and picked me up and I noticed that there are lots of other travelers and solo travelers in the bus with me. What happened is that when we arrived to the first village and when we were walking and visiting it, I went to discuss with some other travelers. There were 2 people from Japan. And we quickly became friends. I told them that this was the first time I traveled all by myself. They told me about all their trips that they had before. And we also decided to meet up after this trip is over. And this is what happened. We exchanged our phone numbers. And every day, I think if I remember right, like every day we used to meet up for a drink at night. We used to go to a restaurant. We even did many other activities all together during the remaining days of my trip to Lisbon. So this is why I was telling you about in the last video that it is very easy to make friends when you are traveling alone. You have to know that your perfect travel partners are already out there just eager to meet you. And this is what happened with me. So this is why I was never really alone. I met these friends and we spent all the 3 or 4 remaining days together. The third and last thing I want to talk about during my trip to Lisbon is something I did just after I bought the painting from Sarah. And so it was during the last day and it was just before I go to the airport to go back to France. So what happened is that I wanted to observe the city one last time. I went to a road to a place where there are lots of cars, lots of people, and lots of noise. And I sat on a bench for like an hour, just looking at the cars, looking at the people, hearing the noises. It's like I wanted to save this image, to save this city in my mind before I leave. And this is what I did. I was very happy just sitting for 1 hour on a bench, observing and admiring the city. And this is something really nice about solo traveling. And like I said before, about managing our own time and spending as much time doing the thing that makes us happy. So now I'm done with Lisbon and Portugal, and our next stop is Prague. I went there back in 2015, just after my first trip to Italy. As I told you in the previous videos, I went to Italy for a month to participate in a workshop to learn the Italian language. And after the workshop was over, I took a plane and I went to Prague. I had always heard how amazing the city is, so I wanted to see it by myself. And I can tell you it was a very beautiful experience, especially thanks to amazing people that I met during the solo trip. Because in Prague, I was also all by myself. So what happened is that I stayed in a hostel called Check-In. It's one of the best hostels I have ever stayed in. It's really good. If you are ever in Prague, I really encourage you to stay there. As I told you in the previous video, in order to meet friends when you are traveling alone, it is always a good idea to participate in different activities. And that's what I did in Prague. So the first thing I did is participate in a free walking tour organized by the hostel in the street of Prague. So basically we were like 20 or 30 travelers all together with a guide explaining to us the history of the city. Then at night I participated in a pub crawl, and that was one marvelous experience. It was the first time I participated in a pub crawl. We were like 50 or 60 people, I can't remember right. We went from a pub to another, from a bar to another, and we stayed until 4 in the morning. It was really amazing. And the next day I also participated in a guided tour to the biggest castle of Prague, and where we had one of the best beers in the world. Anyway, I'm telling you all this stuff just to say that through these activities and during these activities, I got the chance to meet 3 amazing people from 3 different countries. So there was Aname, there was Fanny, and there was Annie. The 3 of them were solo travelers, just like me. And this is what's nice about solo traveling, as I said in the previous video, that the perfect travel partners are already out there solo traveling, just waiting to meet you. And this is what happened. At the moment, each one of us was alone, and then we met and we became like a team. We even called ourselves the Prague team. I didn't have much time left in Prague because I spent like only 2 days there. But in the few hours that I had, we went all of us together to wander around the city, to discover the city more. At night, I think it was a Thursday night, if I remember right, we went to have dinner, all 4 of us, in a restaurant. And the moments we spent during the dinner were really unforgettable for me. Because imagine like 4 people who were traveling alone from different cultures, from different backgrounds. We were sitting there discussing, talking about stories, about life, about ourselves. It was really amazing. And I'm really happy and I'm really glad that I met them all. I can say that I'm still in contact with all 3 of them, even if we do not talk like every day or every month. But we are always in touch. We even had plans for other trips, which we still didn't do. But anyway, like the future is left for us to write, like they say in Star Trek. By the way, I'm a Star Trek fan, so yeah. So yeah, just to say that I was really happy to meet them, and this is one of the amazing sides of solo traveling, to meet other amazing travel partners like I did in Prague. So this was my Prague story. And now I would like to finish with the last story about a trip that I had about a year ago. I went to Saint Sebastian, which is a city to the north of Spain. And since I'm living in Bordeaux now, it is very close to go there. We just need to take a bus for 3 hours. So I went to Saint Sebastian for only 3 days. It was really a short trip. And this time I was also solo traveling. However, I had decided not to participate in activities, and I didn't want to meet any other travelers or people. Because for me, this trip was kind of a relaxation and meditation trip. And it is important for me to learn how to enjoy our own company. And this is what I did. I went to the beach, I visited the city, I wandered in the streets, I ate some delicious food, and I was very happy. It is important to know that when you are solo traveling, you can always meet other travelers to have fun with them, but you can also have fun just being with yourself. Whenever you are happy inside, this is sufficient. And this is what I did during my trip to Saint Sebastian. So these are for me the best experiences I had during my solo trips. Of course, there are many others. However, these ones are the ones that I remember the most and that I enjoyed the most. If you'd like to know more about my solo traveling journey, you can also visit my blog. There's an article called Why Solo Traveling is the Best, and you can check it out. I'll be putting the link in the description of this video. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please do not forget to like, to subscribe, and I will be seeing you next time. Cheers!